Welcome back to the Cosmic Queen podcast. I am very much looking forward to this topic today. I'm calling it Nature, Nurture, or Nomination, the power of choosing your way. This is such a major part of my work, and it's such a major part of my mission in the world. And I'm excited to give a name to it. For maybe it's my Pisces rising, I don't know, but for any of you who have, a big dream of making a positive impact in the world, you know that sometimes it's hard to put it exactly into words what it is that you're here to do, or what it is that you're really passionate about. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, and we talk about, identifying our why. So, like, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to make a difference? What is the difference that you want to make? And often it's like we know it deep in our heart, deep in our soul, but putting words to it is difficult. And recently I have found some words that have really helped this make a lot more sense to me. And it explains this concept I'm going to share with you today, like explains why and how astrology and human design and cosmic systems can be so powerful when used for empowerment, not entrapment. We're not about entrapment around here. We're about empowerment. We're about, learning about ourselves, loving ourselves, and then being ourselves. So, what do I mean? So, normally, what you hear is nature versus nurture. And this is a really interesting debate, I think, that often happens with astrology, especially as people are thinking, okay, well, I was just born this way. So I can see in my chart I'm born a certain way versus the way that I was raised, right? So it's like born one way, which is nature, and I can see these aspects of my personality, and I can see these gifts that I have, and I can see, these major themes of my life in my astrology chart. And some people can feel immediately relieved and empowered by this knowledge and awareness, and then some people will feel a bit strangled and like, oh no, like, okay, so this is like telling me what I need to do in my life. Like it's like it's all set out, it's all fated, I have no option. um and so there's the nature side of it, and then there's the nurture side. Nurture, as we know now that, we have understanding of how the brain works, of how, mental and emotional health, how energy works. We know that the environment that we grow up in has so much to do with how we turn out. We know that, our primary caregivers have a huge amount of, influence over how we see the world. And that nurture is a major part of shaping who we become as we move into adulthood. So there's this whole argument of nature versus nurture, like which one matters more? When do they matter more? When do they come out? Is it the parents' fault? Like there tends to be like this blaming thing that goes on, right? Whose fault is it? Whose fault are my attachment issues? And so there's this kind of blaming thing that can happen on the kind of shadow side of this all. But then there's also a beautiful empowering side that says, okay, I knew I didn't feel that this was natural to me. I knew that I was chafing against the boundaries and the rules that I grew up with and the way that I was kind of taught to be by society. So now I get to choose. And this is the third part of this that I think is missing in the debate. And because I love alliteration, I had to pick a word that started with N. So I'm going to call it nomination. I don't know if this is a concept that someone has already talked about and come up with, but I, this is gold to me. This is gold. This is gems. This is treasure. Nature versus nurture versus nomination. And so I think that the third aspect here, the third concept of how we be, how we do, how we adult is nomination. And what I mean by that is like we choose. We get to choose. And I think that so much of the personal development and personal growth industry, the positive side of the personal development and personal growth and self help industry, is bringing people back to the place of choice and reminding them and empowering them and showing them that so much of how we react, how we take action, how we carry ourselves in life is a choice. We may not have been able to choose what happened to us when we were young. We may not have been able to choose, how people treated us or the society we grew up in or the circumstances that we had to go through and survive. But as we reach adulthood and physical safety, we then get this choice. We then get to the place of beyond survival where we get to say, okay, my body is safe, but my mind doesn't think it's safe. So what do I do now? And we can get support and we can get help and we can go to therapy and there's medication and there's breath work and there's meditation and there's community and there's friendship and there's healing and there's all of these amazing tools at our disposal, which is wonderful with the power of the internet now. It's all at our fingertips. And we have to choose. We have to choose how we're going to move forward. We have to choose who we're going to be. And as an identity coach, because really what I do, I can say relationship coach, business coach, life coach, what I do is identity work. As an identity coach, nomination to me is so exciting to work with. So exciting. I think that, and I'm going to give an example here of myself in a moment. I think that our choice makes all the difference. Like what we choose to do, who we choose to spend our time with, what we choose to wear, how we choose to appear, what we choose to call ourselves. Recently, I had a name change and I'm nominating, my name for my next era of work and being in public and being known. I am Rachel Star. Hello. How are you? Hello, world. Um, and nomination, I think, is just, it's like an elixir. It's seductive. It's magnetic. It's intoxicating having the choice and realizing that you always have the choice. So, nature, nurture, nomination. I want to give an example in my own life using my human design specifically. I could give so many examples of this with clients and just with my own life as well. I think that the biggest, most powerful moments with my clients come when they embrace nomination and when they recognize, oh, this is my choice. This is who I choose to be now, you know? And so I want to give an example from my own life and my human design, an aspect of myself that I absolutely, for a lot of my life, rejected. So this is my emotional authority. In human design, I am a manifesting generator. That is my type. And then my authority is emotional. And there are 7 different authorities. So when you learn your human design, you will learn this. The authority in human design is your decision making mechanism. So it's the part of you that is always on, always defined by the placement of the planets in your chart at the time that you were born. And it shows you the strategy and the process by which you make the best decisions. Some of us are designed to make quick fire, spur of the moment, impulsive, gut led decisions. That would be like sacral authority or splenic. And some of us are actually meant to wait. We're meant to take our time. We're meant to let things unfold. And I am the latter. So, as emotional authority, we're meant to do what we say in human design, what we call ride the wave. I should do a whole other podcast episode getting into like the specifics of how you ride the wave. There are 3 different wave types, depending on how your solar plexus is activated. But suffice it to say that we have very strong emotions, and it's not to say that people who don't have emotional authority don't have strong emotions, but it's different. Typically, and it depends, again, nuances in your chart, what planets you have where, but the kind of generalized way that I can explain emotional authority is that you have big ups and downs. And these ups and downs are generated within yourself. They are not generated by your environment. So it's not like I go and see a friend who's feeling terrible and then I feel terrible and that's what creates the emotional wave. It's that I actually am like creating the emotional wave within myself. Uh, it's like that Instagram audio that goes, am I the drama? Oh no, I'm the drama. Yeah, so I'm the drama. Anyone who has emotional authority, you are the drama. you bring you bring the drama in the best way possible, I have to say, in the worst and the best way possible. I think sometimes we focus on the worst, but there's also a wonderful way that people with emotional authority bring color and, you know, feeling and vibrancy to the world. So let's not forget that. Let's not, no self-shaming around here. So, nature, nurture, and nomination. So let's start with nature. So nature is, I am very emotional. I have high highs and low lows. If you know your human design, I've got the biggest wave. I've got like the big one that's like, build up and crash. And I've got the stream of feeling fully defined in my chart, which is rare and which includes gate 36, the gate of crisis. So big emotions, like from seemingly from nowhere. They just come, and I'm like, oh, where are we now? What's happening? Um, and then that is my nature, to feel like I'm a deep feeler. I feel it all. I feel it all very intensely, and that is natural to me. And I wish that when I was young, someone would have told me this and explained this to me and showed me that this is natural and that this is good and that there isn't anything wrong with me. But unfortunately, that's not how nurture worked out. So with for me growing up, I always felt like my big emotions were bad. Like they needed to be hidden. They made people uncomfortable, and it showed my weakness. It was like a symbol of my weakness that I would cry if my feelings were hurt, or cry if I saw something sweet, or feel enraged if I saw something unjust, or whatever happened. That was wrong. That was bad. And the only place I felt really safe to channel that kind of stuff was in my world of make believe. I have a very rich imagination. Did I mention Pisces rising? We are recording this during Pisces season, which I think is very appropriate. Pisces being a very emotionally uh, tapped in sign. um but yeah, and so it was like, okay, emotions are weak, emotions make other people uncomfortable, it's too much, and you just need to be pleasant and calm and nice all the time, and professional, because that's what people respect and that's what they want from you. That's kind of the nurture that I received. And this, I think a lot of women can relate to this. You get it everywhere. It's not only primary caregivers. It's like you're gonna get this in school for sure. You're gonna get this in friend groups. You're going to get this from older people. You're gonna get this from teachers. You're gonna get this, in sports. I played a lot of sports, right? Suck it up. Ugh, yeah. And so that was the nurture side, was like, your emotionality is bad. Stop doing it. Hide it. So then came nomination, but it's been a long road between nurture and nomination. And I really see all these things. This is a circle. If I could draw this for you, if I had a whiteboard like a old school coach, I would draw this for you, and it would be a circle with these 3 points: nature, nurture, and nomination, and they bleed into each other. And nomination is really essential for us to get back to nature. Um, So I remember, in college telling people in my early 20s, late teens, because I started college quite young, late teens, I would tell people, I was really proud of myself that I had not cried in 10 years. I was so proud of this. I was like, oh, I'm not very emotional. I would tell people this. Like, I just laugh thinking about myself looking back now. I would just say, I don't cry very much. I'm not very emotional. Nope. Like, yes, I write, desperately, like, Eeyore poetry. Yes, I'm writing song lyrics that would just like tear your heart apart. But like, I'm not emotional. No, no, no. Full denial. Full denial. And then I would say I hadn't cried in 10 years, which was somewhat true because I hadn't really cried. But what I had done was have panic attacks on the regular, right? So I would build up so much anxiety, which I really attribute in myself to like holding in all these emotions, which is very unhealthy. And then I would have regular panic attacks in my teens, tweens and teens, and 20s. And so, the nurture part was not really working for me, but I thought it was because people thought I was, strong and nice, and I was well liked, and I had charisma, and I was teacher's pet. I was, like really well loved by all my teachers. And, it seemed I was on student government, I got what I wanted, and it seemed like, it was working for me, aside from the panic attacks and the feelings of shame and not being myself. um but as I really moved into my you know Saturn return, of course, around age 27, I think my Saturn return started, like 26, 27. I kind of had it a bit early, for like 3 years. I, after that, recognized and started going into meditation and doing work on myself, and started realizing that, like, oh, I am not being myself with people. I am not actually sharing my true nature fully. There's something that is holding me back. And I believe that my choice, the nomination aspect of this, my choice to begin to build awareness of and love my emotional nature, has been a core part of my healing journey and the way that I've been able to thrive in my 30s. Because without that, I think I would still be having panic attacks. I would be making terrible choices because I wouldn't be able to hear the correct decision above the roar of my trapped emotions, and it would just be a disaster. so so thank God for my Saturn return. Thank God for being able to learn and build this awareness of my emotional nature, and to recognize that emotions are healthy, emotions are good. Like, the way I see it is, the way that I was taught is to kind of live in black and white and shades of gray, and kind of have this, like, just calm, lobotomized experience. And that's not what I want. That's not what we deserve, Queen. Like, we deserve to live in Technicolor, full on 1950s Vista Vision, baby. Like the Emerald City, Wizard of Oz. Wasn't that the first movie in color where everyone was like, wow, they're like shocked, like, to see this brilliant color or whatever. And and that's how we should live. If you are someone who has big emotions, there is nothing wrong with you. I can't say that enough. I'm going to say it one more time. If you are someone who has big emotions, a big heart, who feels deeply, there is nothing wrong with you. If you cry when you're in airports and you see people coming together, there is nothing wrong with you. If you get angry when you see horrible things happening on the news and you feel like your heart is breaking all over again, there is nothing wrong with you. If you are that person, that is likely your nature. You didn't learn that. That's how you are. And such a powerful part of the journey is to embrace that third and final stage of nomination, where we choose ourselves, where we say, yeah, this is me. This is me, and I love it to pieces, and it's all good. And yes, there are things that I can do to support myself when I'm feeling the low side of these emotions. Like there are so many tools that I use, so many tools. I'm fond of saying I love primal screaming. Like if anyone knows, scream into a pillow. It feels so good, so good. There's so many different ways that you can learn to support yourself and quote unquote regulate, although I don't love that word regulate because it sounds a little too rulesy for me. But regulate your emotions, ways that you can support yourself through the lows and support yourself through the highs. So 100% there are tools, and I urge you to use them and to learn them and not to run from your emotions, because the more that you let them out and they pass through you, the more temporary those states are going to be, those high states and those low states, and you get into a flow. So now, I don't get panic attacks anymore, which is incredible. And I'm just so grateful for that. But I don't get panic attacks anymore, and I just use every tool available to me. Like last year, I started therapy. I love therapy. It is so different and interesting. I do breath work, I do meditation, I work with spirit guides, oracle cards, all different types of healing. And I think that if you are ready to go on that journey and to embrace your emotional side, do it. But in the bigger picture, it's all about your choice. When we choose ourselves, when we choose to love ourselves, like everything just falls back into place, and we can let go of some of the harmful things that we've been nurtured into, and we can go back and embrace our true nature. And isn't that what it's all about? It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. So I hope this inspires you to go out there, learn more about your human design, learn more about your emotions, learn more about your nature and how you were born, so that you can actively be intentionally choosing yourself every time. I'll speak to you next time.